I turned 57 on a Thursday. That whole week, my wife Lauren treated it like a running joke. It started small. Monday morning, I was pouring coffee in our kitchen in Plano, the sunlight cutting across the granite counters, when she walked in, glanced at me, and said, "Wow, you're really leaning into the distinguished older gentleman look, huh?" I smiled at first. I've always had some gray at my temples, but lately it's spread. I work out 3 times a week, I keep myself in shape, I still fit into tailored jeans and slim-fit shirts. I'm not delusional. I know I'm not 30, but I don't feel old. Not inside. "What's that supposed to mean?" I asked lightly. She smirked. "Nothing. Just 57 is coming up fast. I guess I should start looking at retirement communities." She laughed like it was clever. I forced a chuckle, even though it hit somewhere deeper than I expected. We've been married 29 years. We raised 2 kids in that house. Emma is in Chicago now, married, and Tyler's in Austin working in tech. The house has been quieter these last few years. I thought quieter meant calmer. Instead, it feels like there's more room for the silence to stretch out between us. By Tuesday, the jokes got sharper. We were in the driveway when I got back from work. I manage regional operations for a logistics company. Nothing flashy, but solid. I pulled in, and she was sitting in her car scrolling on her phone. When I stepped out, she rolled her window down. "Hey," she said, "do you think you're going to ask for senior discounts now? Or are you going to pretend you're still 45? I just stared at her. She didn't look up from her phone. "I'm serious. You should own it. Salt and pepper, reading glasses, the whole vibe." "Lauren," I said quietly, "can you not?" She looked at me then, eyebrows raised. "What? It's just a joke." "God, you're sensitive." Sensitive. That word stuck to me like glue. I carried it inside, into the house, into the shower that night, into bed while she lay next to me scrolling through Instagram with the brightness lighting up the room. She hadn't touched me in months. Not really. Not in the way that feels like you're wanted. Wednesday night, we were at dinner with 2 of her friends from Pilates and their husbands, a new place downtown. Dim lighting, craft cocktails, the kind of restaurant where everyone's pretending they're younger than they are. One of the guys, Mark, asked me how old I was turning. 57, I said. Before I could even take a sip of my drink, Lauren cut in. 57 going on 70. Everyone laughed. I laughed too. What else was I supposed to do? She leaned into it. "He's been Googling joint supplements. I caught him watching YouTube videos about aging gracefully." "I was looking at workouts," I said, trying to keep my tone even. She waved her hand. "Sure, babe. Whatever helps you sleep at night." I felt heat crawling up my neck. I could feel Mark watching me, that half-smile men give each other when they don't know whether to feel bad for you or join in. I didn't say anything else the rest of dinner. On Thursday morning, my actual birthday, I woke up before her. The house was still. For a moment, I just lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to the hum of the air conditioner. 57. It didn't scare me. What scared me was the way she looked at me now, like I was already fading. I got up, made coffee, and checked my phone. Texts from Emma and Tyler, a couple from old college friends, even my sister called. Lauren didn't come downstairs until almost 9. She walked into the kitchen wearing leggings and one of those cropped sweatshirts she buys now. She's 54, but she's been working hard to look 40. Botox, highlights, new wardrobe. I used to admire the effort. Lately, it feels like she's auditioning for a life that doesn't include me. "Oh," she said when she saw me. "Happy birthday." "That's it?" I asked before I could stop myself. She rolled her eyes. "What do you want, a parade?" "No, Never mind." She grabbed her coffee and leaned against the counter. "Relax, I have plans for tonight." That surprised me. "You do?" She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Trust me." All day at work, I kept wondering what that meant. I didn't need anything big. A nice dinner, maybe a card that didn't feel like an afterthought, something that said she still saw me. When I got home around 6, the house was empty. No candles, no music, no sign of anything. I checked the fridge. Nothing special. No cake. I texted her, "You home?" She replied 10 minutes later, "Running late. Don't wait up." Don't wait up. I stood in that kitchen, staring at those 2 words. I felt stupid for expecting anything. Around 8:30 she came in, smelling like perfume that wasn't the one she usually wears. Sweet, heavier, nighttime perfume. "Where were you?" I asked. She tossed her purse on the counter. "Out." "Out where?" She shrugged. "Drinks with the girls. I told you I had plans." "For my birthday?" She laughed again. "Oh my God, are you serious right now? We can do something this weekend. It's not a big deal." "It kind of is," I said.
my voice shaking in a way I hated. "You made fun of me all week. Tonight you disappear. What is going on with you?" Her expression hardened. "What's going on with me is that I'm tired, Daniel. I'm tired of you acting like this is some tragedy. You're almost 60. That's reality. Stop acting like I'm the villain for acknowledging it." "Is that what this is?" I asked. "Acknowledging it?" She stepped closer, her voice low and sharp. "You've gotten boring. You come home, you watch the news, you fall asleep on the couch. You think lifting weights twice a week makes you young? It doesn't." I felt like she'd slapped me. "I work 10-hour days," I said. "For us." "For what?" she shot back. "The kids are gone. It's just us now. And I don't even know who you are anymore." The room felt smaller, like the walls were inching in. "I'm the same man I've always been," I said quietly. "That's the problem," she replied. She grabbed her phone and walked upstairs, leaving me alone in the kitchen on my 57th birthday. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there staring at her back, the glow of her phone lighting up the sheets. Around midnight, I heard the soft chime of an Instagram notification. She shifted, angled the screen away from me. That's when something inside me cracked. The next morning, I woke up before she did. My chest felt hollow, like someone had scooped something out of me. I walked into the bathroom and looked at myself in the mirror. The gray hair, the lines around my eyes. I didn't see old. I saw tired. Downstairs, I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table. Her laughter from earlier in the week played in my head. 57 going on 70. Senior discounts, retirement communities. I opened my phone and, for reasons I can't fully explain, tapped on Instagram. Lauren's account is public. She likes the attention. Always has. Her most recent post was from 12 hours ago. A photo. Low lighting. A bar I didn't recognize. She was leaning in close to someone just out of frame, her hand resting on a man's chest. You could see his jawline, younger, clean-shaven, his arm around her waist. Her caption read, "Celebrating with someone who still knows how to have fun." My stomach dropped so hard I thought I might throw up.
There were comments already. "You look amazing. Cougar vibes. Get it, girl." And from a username I didn't recognize. Last night was worth it. My hands started shaking. I zoomed in on the photo. I knew that shirt. I'd bought it for her last Christmas. The one she said was too bold for her. She'd worn it for him. I checked the timestamp, 11:43 p.m., while I was lying in bed upstairs. By noon, the post had over 200 likes. I didn't confront her. Not then. I sat there in that kitchen for another hour, staring at the screen, feeling something shift inside me. Not anger, not even jealousy. Clarity. All week she'd mocked me like I was already obsolete, like I was a relic taking up space in her new life. I realized, sitting there with my coffee going cold, that I didn't have to fight to prove I wasn't old. I just had to stop being where I wasn't wanted. At 11:58 a.m., I stood up, walked upstairs, and pulled a suitcase out of the closet. She was still asleep. I watched her for a long moment. The woman I'd loved since we were in our 20s, the mother of my children, the person who once held my hand in a hospital room when Tyler was born and whispered, "We're a team." Now she was lying there, phone on the nightstand, screen dark, secrets tucked inside it. I didn't say a word. I started packing. I didn't slam drawers. I didn't rush. I folded my clothes the way I always have, carefully, evenly, stacking them in the suitcase like I was organizing my own exit. The house was silent, except for the faint hum of the ceiling fan and the occasional shift of Lauren turning in her sleep. Every time she moved, I froze for a second, half expecting her to wake up and ask what I was doing. Part of me almost wanted that. A confrontation, a fight, something loud enough to justify what I was about to do. But she didn't wake up. I packed jeans, a few button-down shirts, gym clothes, underwear. I grabbed my shaving kit from the bathroom, my cologne, the watch my dad gave me when I turned 40. I paused at the framed family photo on my dresser, the four of us at the beach in Destin. Emma maybe 12, Tyler 10. Lauren's hair was wild from the wind, her smile big and real. I turned the frame face down. At 12:17 p.m., I zipped the suitcase shut. I didn't leave a note, I didn't text. I carried the suitcase down the stairs slowly, each step feeling heavier than the last. When I reached the kitchen, I glanced once more at the counter where we'd had that argument the night before. The coffee maker was still out. Her mug was in the sink with lipstick on the rim. For a second, I imagined waking her up, holding up my phone with the Instagram post pulled up, demanding an explanation. But what explanation would make it better? That it was just a photo? That I was overreacting? That I was sensitive? No. I opened the front door and stepped outside into the Texas heat.
It was already pushing 90 degrees. The sunlight felt harsh, almost aggressive. I put the suitcase in the trunk of my car and sat in the driver's seat for a long moment, hands on the steering wheel, staring at the front door of the house I'd lived in for almost 3 decades. 29 years. And this is how it ends? With an Instagram caption? My phone buzzed. For a split second, I thought it was her, that maybe she'd woken up and noticed. It was Mark. "Hey man, random question, you good?" I stared at the text. Why would he ask that? Then I remembered. He follows Lauren. I didn't respond. I put the car in reverse and backed out of the driveway. I didn't know exactly where I was going. I just knew I wasn't staying there. I ended up at a Marriott near the highway, one of those business hotels with neutral carpet and art that means nothing. The woman at the front desk smiled politely as she checked me in. "Business or leisure?" she asked. I hesitated. Something like that? The room smelled faintly of bleach and air freshener. I set my suitcase down on the luggage rack and sat on the edge of the bed. It hit me then. The quiet. Not the tense quiet of our house. A different kind. A blank slate quiet. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Lauren. "Where are you?" No hey, no have you seen my post? Just that. I didn't answer right away. Another text. "Danielle?" Then a call. I let it ring. Then a voicemail notification. I pressed play. "Where are you?" she repeated, her voice sharper now. "Your car's gone, and why is half your closet empty? What are you doing?" I felt something almost laughable in that moment. She was confused. Confused. I finally typed back. "At a hotel." The dots appeared instantly. "Why?" I stared at the screen, debating whether to say it outright. Instead, I wrote, "I saw your post." 3 dots again. Then they disappeared. Then they came back. "It's not what you think." I almost smiled at that. The most predictable line in history. "What do I think?" I replied. A minute passed. "It was just drinks. You're overreacting." There it was again. Sensitive. Overreacting. I felt my jaw tighten. "Is that why he commented last night was worth it?" I typed. This time the pause was longer. She called again. I let it go to voicemail. Another text. "Can we talk in person?" I set the phone down on the nightstand and leaned back against the headboard. My heart wasn't racing anymore. It felt slow, steady, like something inside me had already made the decision my brain was catching up to. An hour later, there was a knock on the hotel room door. I hadn't told her where I was staying. I walked quietly to the door and looked through the peephole. Lauren. Her hair pulled back into a messy ponytail, oversized sunglasses on, even though we were inside. She looked not panicked exactly, more irritated. I opened the door. "How did you find me?" I asked. She pushed past me into the room. "I checked the credit card notifications. You're not exactly subtle." She took off her sunglasses and crossed her arms. "So what is this? Some dramatic midlife crisis stunt?" I closed the door slowly. "Midlife crisis?" "Yes," she snapped. "You see one picture and suddenly you're moving out?" "One picture?" I said quietly. "Lauren, it's not just the picture." She threw her hands up. "Then what? The jokes? Oh my God, I was teasing you." "All week?" I asked. "In front of our friends?" Her expression hardened. "You're 57, Daniel. I'm not allowed to acknowledge that?" "Acknowledge it?" I laughed softly. "You didn't acknowledge it. You weaponized it." She stared at me like I had spoken another language. "You made me feel like I was already dead weight," I continued. "Like I was embarrassing you." "That's not fair," she said, but there was a flicker in her eyes. Guilt, or maybe just annoyance that I'd said it out loud. "And then on my birthday," I went on, "you go out, post a picture with some guy wrapped around you, and caption it like I don't exist." "It was harmless," she insisted. "He's just a friend." "Does that friend usually put his hand on your waist?" I asked. "Does he usually comment about how the night was worth it?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked around the room like she couldn't believe she was standing there. "You're blowing this up," she said finally. "Nothing happened." I studied her face. I've known every expression she has for almost 3 decades. I know when she's lying, and she was lying. "Did you sleep with him?" I asked. Her head snapped up. "What? No."
Too fast. "Did you?" I repeated. She looked away. Silence filled the room, thick and suffocating. "That's what I thought," I said. "It wasn't planned," she blurted out. "It just happened." The words landed like a punch to the chest. Not because I didn't suspect it, but because hearing it out loud makes it real in a way nothing else does. "How long?" I asked. She hesitated. "A few weeks." A few weeks. So while she was mocking my age, while we were having dinner with friends, while she was lying next to me in bed. "Who is he?" I asked. His name is Ryan, she said quietly. He's 38. 38. 19 years younger than me. I nodded slowly, like I was processing a business deal instead of my marriage imploding. And this is what? I asked. An affair? A fling? A reminder that you're still desirable? She flinched. Don't do that. Do what? Make it sound cheap. I stared at her. It is cheap, I said. Her face flushed. You don't understand what it's been like. Then explain it to me, I said. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you got bored and decided to humiliate me publicly. Tears filled her eyes, but they didn't fall. I didn't mean to humiliate you, she whispered. But you did, I said. She looked at me then, really looked at me. And for a split second, I saw something close to fear. Are you leaving me? She asked. I didn't answer immediately. I thought about the house, the kids, the years, the version of us that used to exist. I already left. Her breath caught. You can't just walk away from 29 years, she said. Watch me, I replied. She stood there staring at me like she didn't recognize the man in front of her. For years, I'd been the steady one, the reasonable one, the guy who calmed arguments down, who apologized first even when I wasn't sure I was wrong, who kept things smooth for the sake of the kids, for the sake of the life we'd built. I think she expected that version of me to show up again in that hotel room, the man who would sigh, rub his temples, and say, let's figure this out. But something in me had shifted. It wasn't rage. It wasn't even heartbreak anymore. It was detachment. You're serious, she said quietly. Yes. She paced once across the room, then back. So that's it? You see a few messages, you hear something you don't like, and you blow up our entire life? A few messages? I repeated. Lauren, you just admitted you've been sleeping with him for weeks. She winced. Don't say it like that. How should I say it? I asked. You've been emotionally exploring new horizons. Stop, she snapped. You're trying to make me the villain. I let out a slow breath. You did that yourself. She stared at me for a long moment, like she was recalculating. Then her tone shifted. You're not perfect, Daniel. I almost laughed. I never said I was. You checked out years ago, she continued. You stopped planning trips. You stopped surprising me. You stopped touching me unless it was routine. You became predictable. Predictable. I nodded slowly. And that justifies this? It explains it, she said. There it was. Not remorse. Not regret. Explanation. I walked over to the window and pulled the curtain back slightly. The highway traffic moved steadily below, cars going somewhere, people with destinations. You could have told me you were unhappy, I said without turning around. I tried, she replied. When? She hesitated. I don't know, in little ways. Mocking my age isn't communicating, I said. It's cruelty. She didn't respond. I turned back to face her. Do you love him? Her eyes widened slightly. That's not fair. It's a simple question. She looked down at the carpet. I don't know. That hurt more than if she'd said yes. Because I don't know means she's been considering it. Does he know about me? I asked. Yes. And? And he says I deserve to feel alive. The words hung in the air like poison. Alive. So I make you feel dead? I asked. That's not what I said. But that's what you meant. She wiped at her eyes now, though still no tears fell. You don't understand what it's like to look in the mirror and feel invisible. I held her gaze. I do understand that. You made sure of it this week. That landed. I saw it in her face. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then her phone buzzed in her hand. She glanced at it automatically. I watched her expression change, just slightly. A flicker of something softer. Is that him? I asked. She didn't answer, which was answer enough. Go ahead, I said. Text him back. Daniel. No, really. I'd hate to keep you from feeling alive. She looked at me like I'd slapped her. You're being cruel now. I almost smiled. Now? The silence stretched again. Finally, she slid her phone into her purse.
I didn't think you'd actually leave, she admitted quietly. That was honest, at least. You thought you'd yell, I said. Maybe cry. Then we'd go to therapy. I'd fight to win you back. She didn't deny it. But here's the thing, I continued. You didn't just cheat. You dismantled my dignity first. Piece by piece. All week. Her shoulders dropped slightly. I was angry, she said. At myself. At getting older. At feeling like time is running out. So you decided to outrun it with a 38-year-old? She flinched again. Do you know what hurts the most? I asked. She looked at me warily. It's not even the sex, I said. It's the disrespect. Posting that picture publicly. On my birthday. Her lips parted slightly, like she hadn't thought about the timing that way. It wasn't about you, she said. That's exactly the problem. That hit harder than anything else I'd said. I saw her chest rise sharply. For the first time, actual tears spilled over. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she whispered. But it did. She stepped closer to me then, close enough that I could smell that heavier perfume again, the one she hadn't worn for me. We can fix this, she said softly. We've been through worse. Have we? I asked. She reached for my hand. I let her touch it for a second. It felt familiar. Warm. History in that contact. Then I gently pulled away. You didn't just step outside the marriage, I said. You stepped outside us. And you did it publicly. Her face tightened. So what now? Divorce? The word felt heavy, but not as terrifying as I would have expected. I need space, I said. Real space. Not a few days. And him? She asked quietly. What about him? If I stopped seeing him, would that change anything? There it was. A negotiation. I studied her carefully. You're asking me if ending your affair would earn you a chance to keep your husband? I said. She didn't answer, but her silence was loud. That's not how this works, I continued. I'm not competing with a man who didn't build this life with you. She started crying then fully, shoulders shaking, mascara smudging. For years that sight would have broken me. I would have wrapped her up, told her we'd figure it out. Instead, I stood still. I never thought you'd actually walk away, she said between breaths. I never thought you'd actually betray me, I replied. That shut her up. We stood there in that hotel room, two people who used to know each other better than anyone else in the world, now feeling like strangers. Finally, she wiped her face and straightened. So this is it, she said flatly. For now.
She picked up her purse. When are you coming home? She asked. I looked at her carefully. I'm not, I said. Her face went pale. You can't just abandon the house. I'm not abandoning it. I'm choosing not to live in it. That's our home. It was. She stared at me for a long moment, searching for hesitation, weakness. I didn't give her any. Without another word, she turned and walked to the door. Her hand paused on the handle. You'll regret this, she said quietly, walking away without fighting. I held her gaze. I already regret staying as long as I did. She left. The door closed softly behind her. I stood there for a long time, listening to the silence settle again. My phone buzzed 15 minutes later. Not Lauren, a DM request. From Ryan. I stared at his name on the screen, my thumb hovering. Then I opened it. Hey man, I think we should talk. There are things you don't know. My stomach tightened. There are things you don't know. I stared at that message for a long time, the words burning into my brain. What else could there possibly be? I typed one word back. Where?